So what if I told you that our entire universe, I mean everything, every particle, every force, space-time itself, might just be the shadow of a single, perfect mathematical object? I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but it's a very serious new theory. It proposes a single geometric origin for, well, everything. Let's dive in and see how this could possibly work.
I mean, this is the big, audacious question right here. Could all of reality, with no separate pieces, no pre-existing space-time to work with, really just unfold from one single, perfect, geometric thing?
And what's maybe surprising is that this idea doesn't come from a lifelong particle physicist. It comes from Savan Shaniara, a systems engineer with a PhD in robotics. It's that classic outsider's perspective, right? Looking at the universe not as a bunch of separate parts, but as one single, unified system.
Okay, so what is this master object, this geometric blueprint for all of reality? Let's get into it.
It's called the Positive Grassmannian. Okay, that's a mouthful, I know, but you can basically think of it as a special collection of matrices, grids of numbers. The really important part is the word positive. It comes from this one simple but super powerful rule. Any square you can draw inside the bigger matrix has to have a positive determinant, which is just a fancy way of saying a specific calculation always comes out positive. Think of it as a built-in rule that keeps the whole structure stable. And that positivity, as we're about to see, is the key that unlocks a physical reality.
So here's that abstract rule in action. We've got a simple little 2x4 matrix, and you can see how 6 different 2x2 squares are being pulled out of it. Now the key thing to look at is the result of each calculation. Every single one is a positive number. That's not an accident. That is the fundamental property of this blueprint. It's the seed that everything else is going to grow from.
But a static blueprint isn't a universe. It's just a plan. So how does this geometric object actually generate the dynamic reality that we all live in? Well, the model proposes a kind of cosmic assembly line.
And here's how it all unfolds. First, you start with that geometric blueprint. Then, you apply these internal mutations, which start generating complexity. From there, this evolving object projects a kind of shadow, and that shadow is our 3D space plus time. And then, on that brand new cosmic stage, waves start to interfere with each other, and out of their peaks and valleys, particles and all their quantum weirdness finally emerge.
And this really gets to the core of philosophy, stated right there in the paper. The Positive Grassmannian is treated as the single underlying object. It's a pretty radical bet on finding the ultimate simplicity at the heart of everything.
So how does this static blueprint get moving? Through these mutations. This is basically the engine of evolution for the system. It takes one column of that matrix and updates it based on all the others. And every time this happens, it creates a whole new generation of the geometry, adding more and more layers of complexity. It's almost like a kind of genetic evolution for the entire universe.
Next up is the projection, and you got to stretch your brain a little for this one. Imagine some complex, high-dimensional object. We can't see it directly, but we can see its shadow. Well, in this model, our universe, with its 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time, is literally that, a 4-dimensional shadow cast by the Positive Grassmannian. That shadow is space-time. It's not in space-time, it is space-time.
All right, so we've got a stage, space-time, but it's empty. Where are the actors? Where do the actual particles come from? Well, the answer is just so elegant. It's waves.
Okay, this is where it gets really mind-bending. In this model, particles aren't fundamental things at all. They're basically illusions created by waves. So imagine ripples spreading across our new space-time stage. Wherever those waves add up and create a big sharp peak, that's called constructive interference, we perceive a particle. And wherever they perfectly cancel each other out, destructive interference, the particle just vanishes. That's annihilation.
And this whole process is alive, it's not static. As the underlying geometry mutates from one generation to the next, the wave patterns it creates also change. You can see it in these plots. The interference patterns are shifting over time. This isn't just some mathematical curiosity. This evolution is exactly how the model generates the different families of particles that we see in our universe.
So this is all just a beautiful mathematical story. But here's the billion-dollar question. Does any of this, actually connect to the real world? I mean, can this pure, elegant geometric model really reproduce the messy, precise, experimental data that we have painstakingly measured in our particle colliders?
The whole theory, all of it, really comes down to this one crucial number. 80.4 giga-electron volts. That is the precise mass of the W-Boson, a fundamental particle that's been measured over and over again at the Large Hadron Collider. For this theory to be anything more than just a cool idea, it has to hit this number.
And here it is, the reality check. The model has one fundamental knob you can turn, the strength of those mutations. By tweaking this single parameter, they could change the properties of the spacetime that emerged. And so they kept turning that knob until the particle that emerged from all that wave interference had a mass of exactly 80.4 GeV. With that one single adjustment, the entire abstract geometry was tethered to cold, hard experimental reality.
I mean, just stop and think about the payoff here. From one geometric object and one single tuned number, this model doesn't just spit out the W-Boson mass. It naturally gives us our 3+1D spacetime. It gives us particles from wave interference. It explains things like quantum entanglement and annihilation. It even explains why there are 3 generations of matter. All of these huge, seemingly separate features of our universe just fall out of the geometry.
For decades, we've always thought about spacetime as the stage, and particles as the actors on that stage. This model suggests they're one and the same, just different faces of a single, underlying geometric structure. So the question is, what if this is it? What if this is the beginning of a completely new and way simpler origin story for our entire universe?